Hi, this is Muskee Books. I'm a tournament chess player. I've made it to the rank of expert, peak rating of 2111 USCF. I'm trying to make some videos to give tips to club players to try and help them with some of the struggles and trials and tribulations that I've gone through in trying to improve my game. The first video that I wanted to make was about how to improve time pressure for club players. This has been a big issue for me in the past. I actually had a GM coach at one point that told me if I didn't get a grip on it, it was the end of the line for my chess progress. I do think that I've made significant strides, and I'm going to talk about the different things that I tried that might help you. Hopefully, one of these will help you. Um, the first thing that I ever tried for over the board was just simply actually writing the moves, the time spent on each move, right in my score sheet. That way, after the game, I could go back and look and try to decide why I took so long. Was it because there was something I didn't know? That was usually the simplest thing to fix because I could try to look up the information, maybe in this chess library that's behind me, and try to just learn what it was that took me time during the game to figure out. Occasionally, there was things that were more emotional or confidence type issues, and they just had to be kind of thought about and come to grips with. Probably a little harder to deal with those types of things. Um, if you're an online blitz player, the thing that has helped me is usually when I'm struggling on there to keep up on time, I just simply have to make myself look at my time after every single move, just to stay aware of it. Because sometimes if you're not in rhythm in online blitz, you can just go into the tank, and next thing you know, you're down to nothing. Um, that being said, some people, it's going to take you a while to get in the rhythm of a time control online. So if you're somebody that isn't playing all the time, good for you. You're not addicted to online blitz. Um, it's probably going to take you a handful of games just to get the feel of what it takes to play at that speed. Um, another, a more involved method of trying to budget your time would be uh, taking the taking the time control that you're playing, dividing it by 40 for the average length of a chess game, and using that as a time budget. This was one that was harder for me in the past to use. It sounded like a brilliant, very detailed strategy that could be applied to any time, uh, that you needed to play, but it definitely had me thinking. I was definitely doing more math than actual chess calculation in my head. So maybe that one will work for you. It's an interesting strategy, but for me in practice, it was tougher. Um, in recent times, my more meta approach to this has just been that I actually needed to change my openings to give myself simpler systems to play, and specifically systems with a safer king. I had to, if you have a bad king, that takes you a lot of time to try to calculate on every move whether you're actually losing. Whereas if you have an approach to where, okay, you might be positionally a tad bit worse, that's not going to definitely lose you the game like it will if you're in life or death positions constantly. For example, I used to play the Dutch. I really enjoyed playing the Dutch, but you are constantly having to calculate positions because you might just be flat out lost if you are getting mated. Um, so that's more of a meta approach, but overall, when you have a weakness, you truly have to address it in whatever means it's going to take to actually fix it. And if the time pressure problem is that serious, you have to be willing truly do anything to fix that problem. So that would be like a much further down the line reaction to this problem. One idea that I've had in recent years that despite all my research on what others have to say on the topic, that I really haven't seen mentioned is simply making a conscious effort to choose moves that have less of a time requirement. For example, when you're playing a game and there's two playable options, trying to consider what the actual time needed to play the one position versus the time needed to play the other position. And maybe this is more of an advanced consideration. Maybe like lower level players wouldn't quite be ready to consider this, but I think it definitely has some value, and I think people are going to know what I mean. Um, when you're watching computer evaluations, the computer never has to factor that in because it can calculate a zillion variations in a second, and an actual person playing more complicated positions requires more time. So even though we all want to play like Tao, you might need to go more Capablanca or just a much simpler version of chess when you have the choice, if time pressure is something that you need to get a grip on. Um, so these are some thoughts that I had. If any of these helps you, I'd love to hear about it. You can reach out to me, and I'd be really happy to hear that some of these thoughts help somebody on their way to improving their chess and having a less frustrating time looking at the clock while the game ticks on. So all right, take care and go checkmate somebody today. All right, bye.